Arjun Erigaisi, that's the man of the hour. That's the man that will follow today, because Arjun is now the only player in the Chess Olympiad in 2024 that's going on now in Budapest that has now 5 wins out of the first 5 games that he played. This is very an epic performance, and Arjun gained already 10 rating points in this event. Look at this. Arjun is now the 4th best chess player in the world when it comes to classical time format chess rating. But also we have to mention Gukesh is also high. He's now the 5th best chess player in the world, and also in the top 10 we have another Indian player, which is of course Ramesh Babu Pragnananda. In the top 25 also we have here Vidit Santosh Gurati, who is also playing for the team India, which is really, really crazy. India has really now a big chess force, and they are actually the top favorite to win now the Chess Olympiad. They have now 5 wins, but we have to also mention China and Vietnam have also 5 wins, so it will be still a tough battle, but I think really the top favorites to win this amazing chess tournament is the team India. So I've sorted out now an amazing gameplay by Arjun Erigaisi against Rauf Mamedov. The game has been played yesterday. It was of course the match between India and Azerbaijan. You know, Azerbaijan was always, I would say, a top team in chess for sure, but yesterday India was better, and I think Azerbaijan is now out of the event, will probably battle for some places between 5th and maybe the 10th place. So let's see now this game. We have here Arjun Erigaisi against Rauf Mamedov. Arjun opened with the move e4. We have now the move c5, the Sicilian, knight f3, d6, modern variations, and after a couple more moves we have now transposition into the beautiful Dragon Sicilian. And it's a rare case that we see actually the Dragon Sicilian in top GM level. Usually many times the Najdorf is played, also the Khan Sicilian, maybe also the Scheveningen Sicilian. G6, very, very aggressive line. Now we have the Dragon Sicilian, and probably you guess white is going then into the so-called Yugoslav attack with the move f3, bishop to e3. What white is trying to do, we haven't mentioned many times, is trying of course to play queen to d2, trade off the dark square bishops on h6, and then launch a flank attack with g4, h4, and when black castles on the king side, maybe the h file will be opened, and then you could maybe build a rook and queen battery and maybe deliver checkmate on the h file. That's the strategic goal. Not many times the games are ending of course with the checkmate, but that's now the main concept here for white. We have now knight to c6, queen to d2 castling, and now bishop to c4 with the idea to fix then the bishop on the square b3. And now Rauf Mamedov, I think, plays now the most popular line. This is now, I think, the best way here to proceed. You can of course go into the standard lines with knight to e5 also, but these lines I think are too complicated to play. Rauf Mamedov goes into a more simplified line, plays now the move knight to d4, which deflects now the bishop from this diagonal, because as we mentioned before, we're trying of course to play bishop to h6. We're trying of course to trade off the dark square bishops and then going into this attack with h4, h5. But now after bishop to d4 and maybe a potential bishop to e3, white will lose another tempo, which is then simply a loss of time. Meanwhile, of course, black is doing something. I think really the best way here for black to proceed. Bishop to e6. Rauf Mamedov goes now, tries at least to go into the fully endgame stage, tries to simplify the game as much as he can, and then maybe do something with the rook on the c file. So here, let's see options. For instance, if white continues with bishop to e6, f takes e6, queenside castling, then after queen to a5 and something like rook to e1, black I would say would probably again go into further simplification with knight to d7, and after bishop to g7, king to g7. Look at this, rook to c8, then maybe knight to e5, knight to c4 is then also very dangerous here to handle for white. So that's why here I think Arjun plays now the best way. Simply plays bishop to b3, keeps now his options, still wants to of course launch this flank attack. We have now queen to a5, castling, b5, and now king to b1, b4. A good move by Rauf Mamedov, putting more pressure against the knight, and now knight to d5. We have bishop takes d5, we have e takes d5. The good part, I would say, for white is here that white has still the bishop pair on the board. The downside about white's position is actually that the bishop is blocked by its own pawn. It doesn't have so many great activities, but it's also, the bishop is supporting also the only advantage that white has here, maybe it's the space advantage, is this powerful pawn on d5. And now what we're trying to do from white's perspective is, of course, attack the weakness on e7 here, because now the e file is finally cleared. So at least something to attack. The position is pretty equal, but of course with some attacking chances now only here for white, I would say. So here queen to b5. Rauf Mamedov is trying to play a5, a4 to put more pressure against the bishop. Queen to d3. Great move, I would say, here by Arjun Erigaisi, because he's simplifying the game further, but he has now, as we mentioned, at least the space advantage and at least some attacking chances on the e file. Rauf Mamedov goes with rook from f to c8. He wants now simply to protect this e7 weakness and also maybe go with the king on f8 and further protect it here with the king. We have now rook to e1. Now comes this idea, rook to c7, c3, a5, and now after a couple of trades of pawns, I would say here white is slightly better, but nothing so spectacular is going on. Black has, of course, also maybe some chances to attack the position on the a file. We have now g4, rook from a to c8, and I wanted to show you that white has to be also careful in this particular position, because black has now a great strategic idea, a nice positional idea. For instance, let's see just maybe a tiny little bad move here for white. This wasn't played in the game, obviously, but I wanted to show after move h3 what kind of a good approach black has here. Black would then play knight to d7. This is now the best way. Look at this. After rook to e7, you cannot do that because you get checkmated. So that's why you would be forced, maybe, I don't know, to play the move f4. Now, after a couple trades of bishops, here the issue is that black would have a better knight than white has a minor piece here. So the knight on c5 would be much better than the bishop on b3, because as we mentioned in the beginning, the bishop is blocked by its own pawn, and still you cannot take out this one because you get simply knight to d3 and you get the fork. So the defensive approach that black is trying to do is somehow fix the knight on c5, or if possible on e5, but obviously it's not possible because white wouldn't push the pawn on f4, and now you protect your pawn on e7, and the knight is very powerful here. So this is now the defensive setup that black wants to get. So that's why for rook from a to c8, good move here by Arjun Erigaisi, simply retreating with the rook on d1, because we have noticed that there is this tactical problem on the back rank after potential rook to c1. We have now bishop to h6 here by Rauf Mamedov. We have now h4, bishop to f4, bishop to b6, rook to b7, and now bishop to e3. And now after a couple of trades of bishops again, we have again an equal position, I would say, again with some more spaces for white, again with the opportunities to attack the e file, but again black is trying to do this maneuver knight to d7 and then knight to c5, but so far now it's not working, because now this rook is deflected from the c file. So now rook to e7 wouldn't be such a good move then, pardon me, knight to d7 wouldn't be so good, because then actually white could take the pawn on e7. So that's why king to f8. First of all, Rauf Mamedov protects now his main weakness in the position, bishop to a4, rook to c5, and now protecting the pawn but also attacking the rook. And now comes already, believe me or not, the critical moment of the game. Here Rauf Mamedov doesn't react correctly. Here he has a huge problem where to go with the rook. He should have played here rook to b6, because even if you get attacked something like this, then you have e5, and there's no way that black get challenged in this way, because we can always take out the bishop. So the bishop is a little bit loose here on the board. That's why probably in the potential line maybe like g5, then we can go knight to h5. I don't know, you're trying to attack this pawn, but notice after potential rook to b6, the rook would stay then on the b file and would actually protect now the pawn on b4. So that's why rook to b6, the only way here for black to make any progress. But what Rauf Mamedov did, he played now huge mistake with rook to a7, allowed here Arjun Erigaisi again to move g5, knight to d7, and now rook to d4, and there's nothing that can be done. You cannot protect anymore this pawn on b4, and suddenly the position here for black is collapsing just because of one mistake. So far Rauf Mamedov played, I think, an awesome, a brilliant dragon Sicilian. Knight to b6. We have now first of all rook to b3. First of all here we're protecting the pawn, and still we can always pick up then the pawn on b4. We have now e5, rook takes b4. We have now knight to d5, but after rook to b8, okay, here Rauf Mamedov has gained also his pawn back. But when we watch now the pawn structure, what white has created here is now two connected passers on the queen side. And actually, these pawns are rolling. Black has only maybe a passer here on the d file. This is not the pass pawn because still we would then have a collision between the e pawn and white's f pawn. So two connected pass pawns in an endgame is, I think, completely winning here for white. Of course, you have to play now accurate moves, but I think from this point on, the game is simply one-way ticket in white favor. So king to g7, bishop to d5. Look at this, after a couple of trades of rooks, here Arjun is simply pushing the pawns, and okay, you can take out this one, but I'm simply making progress here. Now after h5, g takes h6, rook to h6. Okay, white had some problems here. We have a 4 versus 1 situation on the king side, but it doesn't matter. Still, you have to first, I don't know, lose some decisive time in order to make any passers here. This passer can be always met with the king, so the king can protect the position here on the d file. And now these pawns are rolling, and here obviously white is completely winning. Here we have a5, now rook to h3, a6 by Arjun. He is giving up another pawn. He's now going with rook to b5, because if you go with the rook like this, then we can always cover and this pawn is marching. So here after rook to b5, e4, we have now a7, and after e3, king to c2, and in this particular position here Rauf Mamedov resigned. So there's nothing that can be done. You can of course push this pawn, but the king is close enough to the action. Again, if you go behind, then we play something like rook to a5, and again it's game over. Really incredible game here by Arjun Erigaisi. Good attack against the Dragon Sicilian. Amazing stuff. I really with 100% accuracy here Arjun Erigaisi played, but we have to also mention Rauf Mamedov made a huge mistake moving the rook out of the b file. He left his b4 pawn unprotected and had then afterwards some positional problems in an endgame. So, but we don't want to undermine, of course, Arjun Erigaisi's game. He played awesome chess. When we watch now all of the games by Arjun Erigaisi so far in this event, only in the first round, please check it out, Arjun Erigaisi played a sharp line, an aggressive line, and the engine doesn't like a little bit this line. But in the other 4 games, Arjun Erigaisi played like a machine. He played without inaccuracies, mistakes, or blunders. He played incredible chess. I think his games are really thematic. His games are really instructive in any opening. In the Queen's Gambit, we have seen great games here, also against the Dragon Sicilian. Incredible performance by the young Indian top grandmaster. So congratulations to Arjun. I hope that he continues to play like this. We need, of course, new faces in the chess community. Arjun has now big chance maybe to reach 280 to 2,800 rating points to be maybe in the top 3 in classical time format chess. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas against the Dragon Sicilian. If you want to see some other commented chess games here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our playlist. And if you want to see even sharper games, check out our commented chess games played by computers, where we analyze beautiful Stockfish, Alpha Zero, Lilo Zero chess games. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.